Detective story. Murder in a mansion, who can you trust when everyone is lying? Chapter 1. A visit in the middle of the night. In the narrow and uncomfortable office of Private Detective Artem Kholodov, lost on a nameless street in a provincial town, the evening was becoming anxious and lingering. A single lamp with frosted glass, suspended from the ceiling, cast blurry yellow circles on the worn walls. Artem was habitually looking through an old file when the door creaked and a woman in a long dark coat with her hood raised appeared in the doorway. She moved carefully, almost silently, like a person accustomed to hiding. "Are you Detective Kholodov?" she asked with a slight tremor in her voice. He nodded, putting the folder aside. "Yes. How can I help you?" The guest took off her hood. Underneath it was a thin face with sharp cheekbones and eyes the color of almost black amber. "I am Evgenia Gavrilova. My husband was killed. I need the truth." Chapter 2. Secrets of the Old House. While telling the story, Evgenia avoided meeting Artyom's gaze the whole time. Her husband, the influential businessman Gavrilov, was shot dead in his own office 3 nights ago. The investigators considered it the work of a robber, but Evgenia was convinced that the killer was someone close to her. Artyom listened attentively, analyzing every pause. "Do you suspect someone?" he clarified. "He had an old business partner. They had a serious fight," she said quietly. Kholodov became wary. This version appeared too quickly. But he decided not to express any doubts for now. Having arrived at the mansion where the tragedy had occurred, the detective felt the tension literally in the air. Everything was strangely perfect in the murdered man's office, no signs of a struggle, no chaos. In the photo of Gavrilov with his wife, standing on the table, Artyom noticed a man slightly hidden in the shadows. This was the same partner. Chapter 3. Traces under the carpet. Artyom was examining the office when he noticed a shine under the old carpet. There lay a heavy key with the letter G cast by hand. "Are you familiar with this key?" he asked Evgenia. "No, I've never seen it before," she answered too hastily. Kholodov took the find and headed to Gavrilov's partner, a man named Oleg. Chapter 4. Unresolvable contradictions. Oleg greeted him warily, with a dry nod. "We did have a conflict," he admitted. "But I didn't kill him." Artyom took out the key. "Is it yours?" Oleg sighed. "He disappeared 2 weeks ago. I thought he lost it." He had no alibi, which made him vulnerable. However, Evgenia's behavior continued to alarm Artyom. She was blaming Oleg for all the suspicions too smoothly. Chapter 5. A dead man's letter. Returning to Gavrilov's office, Kholodov began to carefully check the shelves and noticed a section of the wall that was slightly different in color. There was a small safe there. The key he found fit perfectly. Inside the safe were documents and a letter written by Gavrilov himself. In it, he talked about how he had recently discovered that large sums had been stolen from his accounts. Suspicion fell on Evgenia, his wife, whom he trusted implicitly. Gavrilov wrote that he was preparing to meet with a lawyer and hand over the evidence, but was afraid that they would beat him to it. In the letter, he directly warned, "If something happens to me, look for it among those who are nearby." Chapter 6. The mask falls. Artyom invited Evgenia for a second conversation. "You claimed that you loved your husband," he began. "Of course," she answered with a stony mask. "And how do you explain this letter?" The detective handed her an envelope. Her face was distorted by a shadow of anger and doom. "He wanted to put me on trial. I had no choice, she whispered. This money. It was supposed to save our family. His business was collapsing. I tried to save everything, but he didn't understand. Evgenia deliberately staged the murder to make Oleg look guilty and cover up the theft. She hired a man who broke into the office at night, shot her husband, left evidence pointing to her ex-partner, and disappeared. The woman hoped that the framed Oleg would not be able to justify himself. Chapter 7. A bitter ending. The police took Evgenia away in handcuffs. Her face was frozen with indifference. Like a person who had nothing left to lose. Artyom remained standing in the mansion, feeling bitter. The men and women he helped often killed for money, fear, or revenge. But betrayal within the family always left a particularly heavy aftertaste. He glanced at the photograph of the smiling couple standing on the shelf and couldn't help but think, sometimes the worst evil lives under one roof. Kholodov closed the door behind him and went into the night, where new secrets were already waiting for him.